Alright, welcome back. So this is the final episode in the OOP series. It's going to be about polymorphism. This is the last fundamental thing in OOP. And after this, you'll have the basics of philosophy of OOP done. And you'll just need to learn the praxis and how these ideas are implemented in different programming languages. So let's get started. So much like many other things that are in object orientation, polymorphism also has its ideas based in nature. It actually originates from evolutionary biology, where they say that polymorphism is when different morphs appear in a certain species. Now, if you don't understand what that means, don't worry about it. You've probably heard of it anyway in school, in biology class, but we're going to review it a little bit just so we understand where it comes from and why do we apply it to our classes. The best example for those are the Darwinian finches. You've definitely heard of those ones. Well, those are just like finches that have different kinds of tips, okay? Based on their habitat and where they live, their tips are kind of formed so that they can grab their food and eat it and digest it properly, okay? So, in a way, to put it into our computer terms, it's like the same function, okay? The eating is the same function. It's just implemented differently in different types of species. Okay? So now let's see how we can apply that idea into our classes when we're designing them. To understand it better, I'm going to do an example in the Java programming language, and we're going to actually implement polymorphism. And the reason I'm choosing Java for this part is that it's easy enough to understand, and polymorphism and pretty much any other object-oriented sort of philosophy is in Java, and it's quite well implemented. Okay, so let's get into coding. Okay, so I'm here in my trusty IntelliJ IDE, and the first thing I'm going to do is that, well, I have, of course, created a project here. You might be familiar with it, and I'm going to just create a class, and this class is going to be an interface, not a real class. And yeah, that's actually how polymorphism is handled in Java, is through interfaces. So we're going to create an interface. Let's call it dog. Let's just say that we want to create an interface for dogs to just resemble their different kinds of barkings, okay? So different kind of noises they make when they bark, okay? And in this interface, I'm going to specify that method that does the barking. So it's going to be a void bark, and yeah, it doesn't need an input or anything, and that's it, okay? So I have this implemented right here. Now I'm going to create other classes, okay, for different kinds of dogs that implement this barking method, but it's going to be polymorphic. So you're going to get the idea, okay? So that is the fundamental thing, okay? It's like, to go back to the Darwinian finches, that's like the tip, okay? And we're going to implement it in different kinds of dogs. Okay, so I'm going to create 3 types of dogs, and those are going to be like the bulldog, right? Let's put it like that. And this implements dog, okay, my interface. And as you can see, it shows red here because I have to implement the methods. And the method is, of course, bark, which is a void, and it's just going to be like printing out, I don't know, let's go with, how do bulldogs actually sound? I don't know, let me see. Like wow wow. Okay, so let's do the wow wow. Okay, and let's just to be sure that we are getting the right message, let's say bulldog. Okay, so we know that it's a bulldog, so that's the bark. Okay, that's like the bark message. That's going to be printed when we call this method. Okay, so let's create another class. Let's call this just puppy. It's one of those little dogs. Okay, I don't know the actual races. Give me a rest. Okay, I'm gonna just call this puppy. This is gonna be implements again dog. And, sorry. Okay, so this is also going to implement the same method, right? This is, again, going to be overridden with bark. Let's say that this one says, this should be a high noise, right? Like, wow, wow. Well, that's, again, a wow when writing it, but let's see. Let's just say puppy. And this does, again, wow, wow, but like in high noise, okay? In high noise. Okay. So this is this method. So this is again this method for puppy. And let's create another dog too, just so I can really demonstrate it for you. Let's say we have, let's say German Shepherd, okay? I like those ones. German Shepherd, okay? So this is also going to implement dog, right? And again, it's going to implement that needed method. So how this is going to be is that we're going to say like, let's use bow wow, okay? Bow wow. It's kind of low noisy, you know? Let's just put it like that, okay? Bow wow for German Shepherd, okay? And it's going to be like Shepherd. Bow wow. Okay, that's going to be the message. And let's give these dogs a name, because dogs usually have names when they're owned by people. So let's say that this is going to have a string called name, and this is going to just be equal to something. Let's just put it like this, string name, and let's create a constructor for these classes as well, right? That gets that string of name, and it's just gonna say this dot name equals to name. All right, so this is basically the same thing for all of them. I'm gonna create the same thing here too. Just let me, I hate rewriting code, so yeah, just like that. And this is gonna be puppy, and it's gonna just take this string, and it's gonna say this dot name equals name, again name, right? So and the last one, the German Shepherd, it's also going to have a string name, and it's going to have a constructor again. The German Shepherd, it's going to take the string name, and it's going to again say this dot name equals name. All right, so now we have everything ready, except that I forgot to put the name on these. Okay, so let's say bulldog. Let's put the name here too, right? Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, let's actually put a name here too. Okay, so I'm gonna just concatenate it with strings plus this dot name plus this. Okay, so it's gonna be like bulldog, the name, and it's gonna say something. Okay, so again, same thing here. Let me just copy this part over. Oh no, actually this part should be copied and it should come here. Wow. Okay, I didn't expect that to happen. Let me see. Yeah, that's actually what I want. And here again too. Yeah. So every time that we call this bark method in any of these classes, in any of the instances of these classes, a message is going to be printed in our console. Okay, so now just to have a demonstration of this and get our polymorphism that we want, let's just create a main class. Okay, that's how you do things in Java. All right, and a PSVM. Okay, so yeah, let's create some instances of our classes. For that, let's go ahead and create a list. Okay, it's going to be a list of dog. Okay, you can see I can use the dog here. Okay, even though it's the interface, it's just the type of them, and it's going to be like dogs. Okay, so it's going to be a new array list, and it's going to be empty. And I'm going to just add some instances of these three classes to them. Okay, like the puppy, the German Shepherd, and the bulldog. Okay, so I'm just going to say dogs dot add a new bulldog, for example. Okay, and the name of the bulldog is going to be, I don't know, Caesar, I guess, because that was the name of one of my uncle's dogs. So yeah, that's that. And let's say again dogs dot again a new one, a bulldog. No, not a bulldog this time. Let's go with a puppy. and people call their puppies Sissy, so let's go with that. And yeah, let's also create some other things. Okay, dogs.add new. Let's add a. So we have a. Let me see. What do we have? We have a bulldog. We have a puppy. Now let's also add a German Shepherd. Okay, and our German Shepherd's name is going to be. I don't know. Dog names. Dog name. Buddy. I like Buddy. Okay, let's go with Buddy. Okay. So yeah, the bug, that's gonna be named Buddy. Okay, the dog is gonna be Buddy. So now we have a list with 3 dogs in it of different instances of different classes. Okay, now here's the polymorphism part. Okay, because of the fact that I have this method right here, which is implemented for all of the instances of this interface. Okay, for every class that implements this interface, this method has to be there. That's what this interface does. And all of these implement that same interface. So that's like saying that this trait, okay, this barking trait for these species that I'm modeling here has to be there. It just has its own different kind of implementation. Okay, so I'm going to just say that I want to do that for all of those instances. Okay, I want to call that method for all those instances. How do I do it? I just go ahead and iterate over my instances on that list. Okay, so for, let's say I'm using Java 17, so I can say variable. For variable I, okay, or dog in dogs, right? I'm just iterating over the list. And what I want to do is I just want to say dot.bark, okay? And you can say, and you can see, even though these are different classes, okay, that barking is still going to work, okay? So let's give it a run and see that it works. And I want to run it, run the main, and it's gonna build. Wait for the building to finish, and there you go. You can see that the first one, it says Bulldog Caesar said wow wow, and Puppy Sissy said wow wow, and I forgot to put the space between Puppy and Sissy, between Puppy and the name. Okay, there you go, and yeah, there you go. So that is the idea of polymorphism. You might think that this is kind of similar to abstraction, right? We have an abstraction of these different classes and they're doing the same thing, and yeah, you would be right. That's kind of like the same idea, but there's a difference. And the difference is exactly why I chose Java to this, to be specific, because polymorphism is handled through a different construct in Java. Okay, it's handled through interfaces. Okay, even though you have abstract classes too. Now, what is the difference between an interface and an abstract class? To put it in our terms, what is the difference between abstraction and polymorphism? Well, in polymorphism, you don't really define the certain variables. Okay, and you can't give like, and you can't implement like a method, give a specific implementation for it, okay, for all the subclasses. That's not really polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism is just saying what that method is going to be named, okay, and whether or not it's there. That's the idea of polymorphism. In abstraction, you can also have other methods that are implemented and their implementation just stays the same across all of the classes that actually inherit from the abstract class. Alright? So, I hope you got the idea. If you have any questions, leave them down below and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright? Bye.